So clap your hands to the sound of every firstborn dying now. Watch the rivers flow with blood. Death will stand where life once stood. Close your eyes. Pray for plagues. Cleanse this earth. Bring our doomsday. My name is Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast. No, that was Bring Me the Horizon from their earlier work, Pray for Plagues. And the album was called Count Your Blessings. And I was very upset recently, actually quite offended. Offended me. I was offended to hear that Bring Me the Horizon have taken the album off their Spotify and they've disowned it. They consider it to be not their first album, and they consider their second album to be their first album. They've completely disowned it to the point that they don't even want free money for it for putting it on Spotify. They're like, don't need it, don't care. We've completely disowned it, which I found highly, highly offensive, because they're essentially saying that the music I like is fucking shit.
And that your taste is also
is shit. Is disownable. You could disown me for having that type of music
like
taste.
Garbage.
Is what they're saying.
You're
I like
eater.
absolute
you
garbage.
Absolute the schlock and love it and say, yeah, well, I don't know, what does that say about you? Not very discerning.
Yeah, well,
I feel this comes back to your little yachties and your little tweeps and big perks and whatever the hell else. It's really an indication of where your musical tastes lie.
Yeah. Well, you might be right. But I was quite upset about that because that song is the song that made them famous. You can't disown the song that made you. Not like it's like Blink-182 before they were famous had other albums, right? And you can disown one of those, but you can't disown the album that made you famous. You just can't. It's like, sorry, dude. The only reason I even know about you is because of this album, and the only reason I still listen to your stuff is because of this album. It's got to remember your roots, boy. That's what I say to Ollie Sykes. Remember your roots, Ollie Sykes.
Don't forget your roots, my friend.
Don't forget your roots, my friend, is the quote I actually wanted.
Yeah.
Don't forget your roots.
Yeah, look, that's a very interesting concept. I mean, it's kind of like George Lucas trying to rewrite the Star Wars trilogy with Greedo shooting first, He didn't shoot first. Han smoked him. He smoked the motherfucker because he knew it was kill or be killed. And he's like, I got to pop this fool right now because he's about to pop me. Bam! Suck it. And then now George's like, oh, well, he killed him in cold blood. He's not a murderer. So actually, Greedo...
Yeah, it's a betrayal, isn't it?
Greedo erroneously fired, missing at point-blank range, missing someone sitting directly opposite him, 1 meter distance from him. His shot somehow missed.
Also, wasn't he there first? Didn't Han come and sit down there, or was it the other way around? Who comes to who? Han's already sitting.
I think Han's already sitting. Yeah, Han's already sitting.
And then they come over.
So he comes over, and then
So Han would have had his gun out already. He was ready. It was a cold-blooded murder.
No, Han slowly gets his gun out as the conversation turns.
Okay.
You see.
Okay.
And to me,
I see.
He didn't kill him in cold blood. He tried to bargain with him. He tried to cut the deal, but he saw it was like, it's too late. Greedo says it's too late for that now. The money on your head is worth more if you're dead or the same. So you might as well be dead. So then Han Solo knows, boom, smokes him. Has to. Yeah. Had to be done.
Well, it's true. It was a survival move. It was a preemptive murder.
Yeah. So anyway. This is like kind of that, except on a much grander scale. So, because also like, I mean, really what it's like is George Lucas saying, hey, just ignore Star Wars. We're starting from The Empire Strikes Back, okay? That's from where it really counts, all right? Ignore the thing that blew me up and made everything, and created this whole universe. I'm just going for. Oh, you've disappeared on the stream.
No, keep going. I just hit record.
Okay.
I'm more worried. I'm more worried about the fact that it's fucked your mic though.
Right. Well. So anyway, So anyway, it's like he's saying, just don't forget about Star Wars. Forget about the highest grossing film of all time. We only want to be acknowledged from Empire Strikes Back onwards. So was there some announcement, as in, look, we just really don't feel this represents us anymore? Like, did they make a statement? What happened?
Well, I see. Hang on. So now, since hitting record, I feel like we've got a slight room sound coming in somewhere.
All right. Well, nothing's changed on my settings.
Well, maybe it's okay. Well, maybe I'm imagining it, but I can hear more of a room hiss now. But maybe it'll figure itself out. Bring Me the Horizon. Basically, I only just realized the other day because I was like, I want to listen to that song, and I went there, and I couldn't listen to it. I had to listen to it, via somebody else on YouTube. Like somebody else made money from their song because they want to disown it so much.
Have they talked about this? I mean, surely they must have. You can't just delete a whole album and then say nothing about that.
Yeah, no, I think they said they just said that they just wanted to do everything to extremes and that they they'd just grown since then and it didn't represent them anymore type thing. But it's like, that's a fucking cop-out. We can all move on, but you can't delete
all
it.
Those racist.
This isn't communist, Russia.
This isn't 1984. All these racist pro-Hitler tracks that they made.
Well, it's true. They didn't. It's possible that he is actually, trying to upset me because some of his songs were maybe a bit misogynistic,
right?
But no worse than any other band complaining about an ex-girlfriend type thing. But just abrasive, heavy metal, angry music, screaming about whoever broke his heart or whatever. So maybe he's moved away from that type of lyric.
This is not the guy that became a woman.
No.
What band is that?
I can't remember their name.
There was a Horizon in it.
But they were no, it wasn't one of the ones I listened to. It was one of the ones that the 5150 listener Liam Hegarty listened to. Right. It was one of those type of the one I'm thinking of, one of these kind of folky punk bands, and then the lead singer got a sex change, became the lead female singer.
Hey, it's a good way to extend. Imagine if you were look, we've now we've got some whole new. I don't know. Do they sound the same? I don't actually know. I feel like I feel like it was one of the bands that you used to love. But anyway,
no, that's the only one I know about, and it's one of the ones that Nick and Liam loved. I didn't mind them though. I just can't remember their name.
So they were just doesn't reflect us. It's gone. It's out of here.
Yeah. Basically, and then apparently they did play that song a few more times, a few years after disowning it. The disowning the album as a whole, but they still played that song a couple of times, but then not anymore. But also the lyricist can't do it anymore. Apparently, he's ruined his throat from screaming for 20 years, and so now he can't quite do what he used to be able to do in that original song, which was I
feel like
guttural growls and so forth. I feel like
it's a cop-out.
I think you could definitely damage your throat doing what he was doing. You need to listen to the song. You need to go listen to Pray for Plagues by Bring Me the Horizon. I've played it to you before, actually,
I really
Guy.
don't need to go and check that out.
Pretty sure you hated it.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that would be like us disowning Disgusting Hairy Man.
I know, which we would never do.
I feel
but
like you did
YouTube
try and disown a couple of those by distancing us from some of the things that we did via
some of
the concealment of them on a different channel.
Well, like rap videos,
yeah, maybe,
or I mean, there's definitely some that I just like don't promote as much as
Yeah.
others, but everything's still up there pretty much. There's the Retro Pigville channel. That's what you want to look up if you want to go see our old nasty shit. Go to YouTube and search for Retro Pigville channel. It's called the Retro Pigville channel, and you can see our really old terrible stuff. But while you're there, hit like and hit subscribe, because hey, you never know, maybe one day we'll even monetize that channel.
Well, if we ever get our other one monetized again.
Yeah, well, we need another 1,300 hours view time on our main Pigville YouTube channel. So if while you're there, if you go search for Pigville and the number 2, we need to get 1,300 hours of view time. So go there and please check out some of our stuff. Pick our longest video and watch it. You don't even have to watch it. Just hit play and, change tab. That's fine. And mute it. That's fine. Just go and do that right now. Go to our Pigville YouTube channel. There's playlists there, actually. So you're looking for Pigville and the number 2. That's our main channel. And on there's various playlists. So you can just pick a playlist and hit play and then mute it and change tabs. Bam. And now we're getting up our view time. Now, don't tell YouTube I said that. I'm sure they'll delete me immediately, probably, for suggesting people do that.
Don't go running crying to YouTube.
Yeah, we got a spam comment. We got our first spam comment on the live stream.
Wanna
user
become famous?
Yeah, I deleted it. Nobody wants to become famous around here.
We're actively pursuing not becoming famous.
Yeah, we're taking things offline.
Yeah, well, we didn't quite make the show last week, did we?
Well, this is the show from last week because it's still not Thursday, so it's just a late show. But it's not. We didn't skip a show. And we'll be back. We'll be back on Thursday.
Be back on Thursday because I've got a film shoot that evening. But
well, what are you shooting?
So I'm filming an ad, a corporate ad for well, I'm not sure who the company it's for, but it's basically about racial equality and sort of it's hard to explain, but
it's just some paid gig, is it?
Just a paid gig.
Just some paid freelance gig.
Just a paid freelance gig that I'm shooting with my man Will Fleming. So he and I are filming that on Thursday evening if it's not cancelled, which I'm assuming it won't be, hoping it won't be. So we can't do it on Thursday. Tomorrow we are both going to, well, I am reluctantly going to the Screen Guild Industry Event Drinks. The annual. Every year. So if you're wondering, you join these guilds and you pay them $180 or $250 or something. And you go, what does that get me? Like, what do I get out of that per year? You get one industry event at the end of the year where the drinks may be subsidized, but I'm not sure if they are or not. And you can and this is basically where the industry goes to complain about how they're not getting money for the things that they're making.
Yeah, it is. It's always at the same venue every year.
Long room.
And yeah, the drinks are like not cheap or maybe just not even subsidized at all. Yeah, possibly. And they put on a few ham sammies or something like that. There's there's a little bit of something to eat, which is nice, which is great. Yeah, obviously, yeah. But we do. It is an opportunity to schmooze with local movers and shakers that are also members of the guild, and people that we already know and catch up with them and reacquaintance.
To catch up with all the other unemployed filmmakers that are members of the guilds.
I got a year and a half for free.
Yeah, see, this is the problem. I'm paying out the arse. I just re-upped my guild memberships.
Oh, see, you fucked up because if you had been a member during COVID, you'd get it all for free.
Yeah.
So mine I got mine extended. I think 1 year actually. So I had a free 1 year membership that I got given through one of my jobs, and then that free membership got extended a year by COVID. COVID ladder, baby. Hallowed be thy name.
Yeah, well, I did not get that discount because I sort of signed up. I was like, there's all this stuff coming out with Older, and we're going to be promoting, we're going to be on the thing. I need to be part of these guilds so I can convince them to promote them. So I did that, and it was essentially like paying, $200 and something for a shout out in a newsletter that no one reads.
Yeah, right.
So, there's a tinge of regret in my voice there. Especially when, really, if I wanted to go to these guild drinks, I would have just come as your date.
Yeah, right. Well, I did ask around. Everybody's busy. Nobody wants to come with me, basically. So
you just
yeah,
confirmed
nobody's
interested,
interested.
did you?
Yeah. So I probably I did get asked by our dear friend Mike, the composer, if he could be my +1, but I hadn't asked anybody yet. So I was like, oh well, I should. I was kind of hoping to ask somebody, but then he got a free ticket anyway, so he is all good.
Well,
But it looks like I didn't even need the ticket.
Well, you did message me and ask me if I was going, and then you.
Yeah. Well, that was because I asked you first. See, remember last week you suggested that I didn't ask you first. This week I did ask you first because I was like, well, guy needs to be at this meeting, and last time I heard he was a cheap ass and wasn't paying for his membership. So he probably actually does need a fucking seat at the table.
Yes.
For the sake of Pigville.
I got a seat at the fucking table. I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to it, but it would be nice to have some free nibbles, I guess. I will enjoy the beer. I will not look forward to being intercepted by the crazies.
Hashtag free the nibbles.
Free the nibbles.
Free the nibbles. Hashtag free the nibbles.
Free the nibbles. That's where you'll find us, by the nibbles.
That's going to be the title. That'll be the title.
You'll find us with our face buried in the nibbles. So, in case you want to know where to find the Pigville boys. But yeah, intercepted by the crazies, which is where you kind of like, there's obviously people that you like, there's a lot of crazy people in the film industry, and they all go to these events. And then, of course, for people like us lower down the totem, these crazy people feel like they have a relationship with us because maybe they do. Maybe they were in one of our things for free or something, and then they got to accost us. And we've got to talk to them.
You can see where your networking game needs to be picked up. I feel like it's the entire outlook of it, the entire attitude going into this. It's all wrong.
Well,
it's going to be great networking.
It is all wrong. I'm just bored by I'm bored by industry events now.
I just think they should put some bloody booze on. What are they doing? Why are they not giving us booze at a bloody Christmas party? What kind of Christmas party doesn't have booze?
Well, that's true.
Free booze, I mean.
I feel like a couple of years ago.
For a paid membership. You pay to get in.
Like a couple of years ago.
I mean, I didn't. But that's irrelevant.
Off being free.
Yeah.
We're also going to, well, if I pony up and buy a ticket, we're also going to the Big Screen Symposium, which is basically like, it's not a drinks thing at all. It's actually a series of events over.
Wait, what? It's not a drinks thing.
No, I think there's drinks at the end.
I assume,
but I don't think they actually serve drinks there. So you actually have to go somewhere else.
Well, no, I assume, I should, like during the day, it's like an educational thing.
So
walking around and like attending like seminars and hearing people speak and all that type of thing.
All workshops. So obviously, COVID's put a bit of a spanner in the works this year, and so the level of talent involved has probably really dropped from previous years, which does explain why they haven't upped their ticket prices to the normal rates. And also, there'll be a lot of virtual screenings, virtual workshops, I imagine, of people like actually sort of talking from afar. And the problem with these virtual screenings is that you can't do any virtual accostings, which is basically where you go to your like you wait for them at the end of the workshop and you go, hey, I've got a great idea for a script. You know, would you like to be part of would you want to be in my movie, Carl Urban? What do you think? What do you think about that, Carl Urban? Do you want to be involved? And they, obviously they politely decline, or they say, oh, yep, let's exchange. They run away. So,
yeah. Well, they never apply to you, that's for sure.
Well, not to your emails.
No, not in my experience.
To your emails. So yeah, that's what's going on there. 2 industry events, 2 weeks in a row. We're going to be really tuckered out by the end of that.
Oh yeah. Plus all the rest of the just day-to-day existence that we've got to grimace and grind our way through.
It's So okay, that's right. Go on.
What? Okay, cool. Well, I started a new job, so that was good. I scored myself a mean set of Blundstone steel cap boots for free, which must be worth however many $100, which I was quite happy about that. So they were like, well, we've got a couple of spare pairs lying around, and if they fit you, you can have them.
Right.
And so I just scored myself a nice pair of size 6 US boots, and for my dainty wee feet, and that's why nobody was wearing them, I guess. Too small for everybody else.
Dainty hobbit feet.
Yeah. But so I scored some free boots, and I've got a new job. So that's all pretty good news.
Yeah, well, considering that you were unemployed there for a while.
I was never really unemployed. I was freelancing.
I received a message from I've been receiving a steady stream of messages from our fans of Older, and I got a message from a man in Iran the other day, and he said, I loved your film, I thought it was amazing, and he screenshotted the bits that he thought that were particularly moving to him. The final scene, the couple of lines in there, and he was like, beautiful, just beautiful. And I was like, thanks, man. Where'd you watch it? And he's like, to be honest, sir, we do not have access to the legal ways to watch this. Yeah. And I was like, sweet. So I just sent him on to review it on IMDb for his troubles. But it's true that, you know, I certainly get plenty of people from places that can't get the film telling me how much they like the film, and I feel like there's an issue in that, a problem in this structure of, even when you feel like you're getting your film out to the broadest audience possible, you're not. You're still missing a trick there, because, you know, Amazon Prime has not yet become ubiquitous.
No. Well, that segues quite nicely into our favorite new segment, the glory hole. This is a review. Now, you're going to like this one, Guy. This is a comment that was posted on the YouTube, and I told them to go and post it on IMDb as well, or whatever. This one's from Art House Films, which is a YouTube channel. Now, they watched Older, and they commented on the trailer. They found us, commented on the trailer. Thanks to them. Every frame of this film was a delight. It was truly firing on all cylinders in this genre, the genre of cool indie romances. Now, there's got a lot here. I might not read it all. But first off, the casting was off the hook. Alicia Ward-Knox, the main woman, was like watching magic on screen. She was so connected to every moment, every word, every look, that it made the film really come alive. Seriously, she's absolutely outstanding as an actor, with incredible charisma radiating off her. What a treat it was to experience the character through her. She's so gifted. She could read the iPhone disclaimer and make it sound compelling to an audience.
She could.
But they say that 90% of a director's job is casting. So my hat goes off to auteur director Guy Pigden, who also acted in the lead role, wrote the screenplay, produced and edited this incredible film. Even one of those film jobs is tough for a person to succeed at, but Guy tackled all of them at once. Whoa. He had the perfect touch in letting the scenes play out and breathe without overdoing it. Guy's realization of the Alex character was perfectly handled to deliver a really satisfying character throughout the whole movie. It's really hard to direct and act at the same time, but Guy completely pulled it off. As an editor, Guy has a really nice touch. There were some spicy moments, but the editing style fit the tone and never felt gratuitous or merely ornamental. The rest of the cast was equally engaging, and Guy did a super job of balancing their characters' storylines to support the overall story. Astra McLaren was also perfectly cast to complete the love triangle. She was really interesting and made strong choices in bringing out the character. The beach scene at the end was fantastic. Cinematographer Adam St. John kicked ass. Yeah, everything looked so natural and realistic. Perfect. The story itself was nothing new and had a lot of the same beats we are used to in the genre, but the magic came in the execution. It's just like with food. You can order a cheap plate of spaghetti from a crappy restaurant, or you can order gourmet pasta from a 5-star restaurant. Sure, they're both noodles, but one is sublime. That's how this story felt, and when all the ingredients perfectly blended to transcend the screen. Well, that's how I felt when that happened. There's only a little bit more here, people, while we get through it. Guy's loving it. He's got a full erection. You can see on the live stream that guy's got a full erection.
Proud erection.
For many people, escapism for movies is going to see a big, familiar action blockbuster that features things blowing up and people in superhero costumes. For me, escapism is being completely unaware of a film or its trappings and watching it unfold with no idea what the next moment will bring. That's how this film was. It was fresh and intriguing to watch unfold. Major kudos to Guy Pigden for this outstanding work, and major kudos to the actors, especially Leisha Ward-Knox, for making this film amazing. This film gets 5 full stars.
5 full ones.
5 big ones.
Well, thank you very much, Art House Cinema. Art House.
They're called, the YouTube channel I'm referring to is called Art House Films dash. Well, I think it's just called Art House Films, or it might be called Art House Films dash review, but that might be a note to myself that this is a review that I'm reading. But potentially.
Well, thank you very much, Art House Films. I greatly appreciate
dash review.
Dash review, if that is in fact the end of your name. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you took the time to write all that out to let us know. Because as filmmakers, you know, like when someone says, hey, good on you, good film, you go, cool, thanks, that's cool. But when someone truly takes the time to kind of boil down why they really enjoyed this thing, you know, it makes it even all the more special. So
it does.
You know, thank you very much for sitting down and writing that out over what I would guess took at least half an hour. You know,
it took about half an hour to read it. So it would have taken way longer than that.
So I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And he or she is right that 90% of directing is casting. If you get that right, you don't really have to do too much. So yes, obviously she did not see probably the extended edition.
Oh, that's a point. Well, I guess they didn't actually.
Gratuitous. Now, I never strayed to gratuitous, but if you felt that it hit the right level,
it's a point, right? That person might not have seen the actual extended edition.
Actually,
I didn't really think about
may
that.
have then gone a little overboard in the on the real level, but yeah.
We are, of course, referring to the 4 minutes of bonus sex, which is available in the New Zealand and Australian edition, which is not available internationally at the moment, only on our one. So if you would like that, you've got to go to olderfilm.com and you can hit the buy now button and you can see the uncensored director's cuts available there, but only if you're in New Zealand and Australia. Otherwise, you guys have just got to go and watch the censored version. I'm sorry.
Or you could buy a Blu-ray from us directly.
Oh, you could buy. Speaking of which, we did. Kevin Condon, a new Sifty 160 listener, has bought 2 Blu-rays of Older, and they are now winging their way to America. So that's very exciting.
Transit.
Thank you, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin who did that. If anybody else would like to buy Blu-ray copies of the extended edition from us, all you got to do is slide into our DMs, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Send us a message, or you can email us at pigvilleproductions@gmail.com, and we will send you a DVD, and you just PayPal it to us. Or you can just go to PayPal, actually. Use the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com on PayPal, and you can send us a message, and it'll say, "Hey, dudes, here's my address, and I want a Blu-ray copy of Older the movie." But we haven't told them how much it is.
We'll need to tell them that.
Yeah, true.
And also, if we are getting into PayPal, they should really put it directly into my PayPal.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, because that's where all the older money is coming to.
But it all needs to go to the older PayPal.
The older PayPal.
Or the Pigville Productions one.
The older PayPal is my PayPal.
Yeah, but that's just your personal PayPal.
Yeah, but then it goes straight into the older account.
Okay.
So appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the kind words. And Harley, if you can send that review off to the Film Commission, and they all can get on with funding our next feature film. Yeah.
Well, look, mate, we'll meet them all tomorrow night at the Guilds party, and also at the Big Screen Symposium. So don't you worry about that. We will be getting this movie in front of people this week.
Well,
make sure you bring your business cards tomorrow.
I actually had to buy some new business cards. Sadly had to part with some money to buy some business cards.
Well, you didn't want any more of these nude business cards.
There's nothing wrong with those nude business cards, because at least you'll remember them.
Absolutely, right?
I mean, sure, do they really suggest professionalism and a reason to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars? Maybe not. Do these 2 naked men posing with DVDs
of their film
of their own film, a level of professionalism and trust that would endorse millions of dollars being invested in them? I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
So I've made some new ones, some new less nude business cards, which may be slightly more appropriate.
Well, I gave those out professionally for a long time,
and you know, didn't get many bites. Didn't get many people getting back in touch. So yeah, sometimes I'm on the fence about those cards. On the one hand, they're funny and memorable. No doubt about that. On the other hand, they're disgusting and unprofessional. And in an industry that depends on professionalism.
Yeah. Well,
so, you know, where do you sit, you know? And it is like, because I could see those actually being offensive to some people. Actually offensive to have to look at. They would be offended by having to gaze upon that site.
Yeah, well, we don't want to work with that kind of person. We don't want to surround ourselves with that type of negativity guy.
I think that we are bringing that negativity by posing fucking naked with some fucking Blu-rays covering our dicks. That's the real.
Look, guy.
So we're
listen.
inviting.
So let me get this straight. It's fine. It's fine to put it on YouTube and all of those places, but suddenly you put it on a business card, and now we're crossing the line. But I'm sorry, the line's a little blurry for me.
Yeah, look, you have good ideas, maybe they can't all be winners. They can't all be winners.
I still think it's funny.
Are you going to be giving out those cards?
I know. Well, I've finished them all now.
Right.
I've given out hundreds of them.
Right. Well, I feel like that again, statistically, maybe the proof is in the pudding there.
No way. I'm a fucking rock star, in demand freelancer, famous film producer. I'm rocking it. I'm going to the Guilds party tomorrow night.
I've got a free invite to the Guilds thing for the membership I didn't pay for. I'm rocking it as a producer.
But isn't that's the game though, mate? The producers aren't paying for their own shit. Nobody's paying for their own shit if they're actually smart. That's the game.
Actually, the successful guild members have to pay a substantial fee. So if you're truly a successful producer, you'd be fucking shelling out like $500 for your membership.
Yeah, but you'd get it free through one of your connections, You'd be as part of a sponsorship deal with somebody, this is what I am. This is what's happened to me. I was like, I got it for free, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's how real producers work. They don't have to pay for anything. They just get it all for free, and then they get paid, and it's all money that goes in their pocket.
Well, so
it's sort of weird. Rich people don't pay for shit.
It's true. And it's also true that the richer you get, the more money seems to come to you easily. That is something that I have noticed as I get richer.
As you become rich.
Yeah, is that like what used to be a struggle to find a $50 or something. Or it used to be a struggle to find $100 or something, and then suddenly when you need it more than anything, you can't find it anywhere. But when you don't need it because, your job pays you well enough that you can live comfortably and you're not, starving, suddenly someone's like, hey, do you want to do this shoot for $500? Gonna take you 3 hours. How do you like that? And you go, well, yes, I do like it very much, but I really would have liked you to contact me about this job 3 years ago. It's just a bit...
But you what changed there, right? Is that 3 years ago you weren't freelancing seriously, or you had only just started off.
That's true. I was,
or
just
whenever.
Yeah.
So
that's
now you're an established
commodity,
professional,
that deals purely through connections that I previously already have. And
that's how it works.
And some
this is the game.
Word of mouth. But that's true. It's just it doesn't seem right. The poor need to get richer, and the rich are all good. So, not that I'm saying I'm rich. I don't want to put the cart before the.
That's a rich guy.
Put the cart before the horse here. I'm just saying I'm definitely. I have now reached the next level above struggling artist who can't buy a cafe meal.
Yeah, you've moved up to teacher.
I'm a part-time. I'm a teacher. You're a teacher? Part-time. Yep, that's me.
Now we better give a big shout out to the sponsor of this episode of the Guy and Harley podcast. I am, of course, talking about our dear friend, long-time listener, avid supporter, Niam Hegarty.
Niam.
Who transferred us the money.
He did it.
Via PayPal for these delicious Monteith summer ales that I'm supping upon.
But
yes.
that I am not.
Well, that's the issue with you being in a different house to me for the show. But
run half those beers round to
funny
me.
That I need to run half. I had to drop those round, did I? Well, I could have at least told you about it. And then you could have just bought some beer,
Yeah,
on the Pigville
that's true.
account
I
or
could
something
have
like
done that.
that,
I would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah. Nice cold beer. But no, I prefer just to keep all that money in the Pigville Productions PayPal account. That's what's left over there is going into the advertising budget. Any change, anything that builds up in there goes into the Facebook marketing payments.
Well, thank
you, Liam. Thank you very, very much for being the proud sponsor of the show.
We did get deep into it. We did honor his recommendation. We got pretty deep into our Trump bashing last time and all the things that are going to happen to him, and it's all just so exciting, and things seem to be moving forward now as well. I think something to do with the GDP or the PDA or the BMF or the I can't think of anyone, but they said that they're acknowledging the presidential result that Biden has won, and so really Trump's got to get the fuck out on January 20th.
So has he acknowledged it?
He hasn't acknowledged it.
Trump's still fighting it, is he?
He's got to. He's got to fight until...
Well, he's got to, because otherwise he's going to hang.
He is, and that's exactly what it is. The walls...
He's got to save his skin.
The walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in. It's all crumbling around him. It's so delicious.
The walls are closing in, and in fact, Edward Norton, who I follow on Twitter, wrote a great post about it all. Because he's saying, like, basically what Trump is doing is that he knows he's lost. He's well aware of that. But what he's trying to do is create as much sort of civil unrest, chaos and disruption as he can, that rather than prosecute him for all the shit that he should be prosecuted for, the idea is that he sort of stays in and doesn't move and doesn't go anywhere until the point that they go, cool, we'll cut you a deal. You get the fuck out right now, and we are not going to, put you up on all these charges.
Put you in prison.
Yeah, we're not going to put you in prison. That's it. That's basically it. So it's like, so now go quietly, and we won't put you in prison. That's sort of the general deal.
Yeah. So he's aiming for a deal. He's gunning for a deal.
And I thought that was very interesting in that perspective. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, is why he would be doing that. But what Edward Norton says is he says it's a game of poker, and he was like, the difference is that Trump's calling the bluff, right? But he has no cards up his sleeve. So if we fold and let him sort of do that, then essentially, he's getting away with it.
It will never work. It'll never work, because as fucked as the American system is, they do not negotiate with terrorists, and they're not going to cut him a deal. They're going to kick him out when they have to. Literally, a man will walk in there. The guard will walk in and go, "We've got to escort you off the property now, sir."
Well, I'd love it, and
then he'll be taken into custody.
And this is what Edward Norton says, because I think it's said much better than I did. We're seeing, 1, a tactical delay of the transition to buy time for cover-up and evidence suppression. 2, above all, a desperate endgame, which is to create enough chaos and anxiety about peaceful transfer of power and a fear of irreparable damage to the system that he can cut a Nixon-style deal in exchange for finally conceding. But he doesn't have the cards. And we cannot let this mobster bully the USA into a deal to save his ass by threatening our democracy. That is his play. But he's got junk in his hands, so call him. And he said, I will allow that he's also a whiny, sulky, petulant, grinchy, vindictive little 10-ply, super soft bitch, who no doubt is just throwing a wicked pout fest and trying to give a tiny-handed middle finger to the whole country for pure spite, without a single thought for the dead and dying. So yes, that's thank you, Edward Norton, for that political commentary. I appreciate that one. So I thought he calls it nicely.
For me, I feel like since the election, Trump has just like kind of dropped off the radar for me. Like I'm not even really seeing him in my news feed anymore. It used to be like all day, just Trump in my fucking news feed all the time, right? And now I'm just not really seeing him. I feel like people are just not really talking about him as much as they used to. They're like, yeah, well, he's out now, so what's the next big thing?
I think there's some truth to that. I also think that he is tweeting a lot.
There's Trump fatigue.
He's tweeting a lot less, and half of his tweets are now getting
flagged because they're nonsense.
And so therefore they are going to be less visible, you know. Which is good. Which is good. For
Hitler was considered a bit of a laughing stock by some.
What?
Not to be taken seriously, just like Trump. But then he got it. He managed to hold on to power. He got in there.
Always got to bring it back to Hitler.
Always comes back to Hitler. Comes back to Hitler with you, Harley.
The appreciation of Hitler.
Yeah, it's not appreciation. It's a warning about Trump. I'm saying Hitler was considered a joke by many and not a real threat.
Yeah.
But he destroyed the entire country and much of the world with it.
Yes. Well, Trump's certainly done his best to... And also, I do think that, you know, the issue also in America, obviously, is COVID. And the sort of...
Man, you'd be embarrassed if you were an anti-masker when all this first happened and you're like an avid anti-masker, you know. And it does seem like on Facebook, some of them have kind of just disappeared a little bit. They're just like kind of like not really posting about it anymore. And it's like, yeah, it's because you're a numbnuts and we all saw it, didn't we? And now you feel silly, don't you? Oh, well, you're a moron.
It's problematic because, you know, it's surging. It's the rate of increase is more than before the first lockdown. And all of these things are gonna, because that's the thing is like, I can't say nowhere in America, but they haven't reached critical mass, right? These infections and the result of these infections haven't reached the tipping point where the hospitals are overwhelmed yet. But we don't know if we have passed that point in many states, and it's just the delayed effect of it is not going to be seen for another few weeks or months or whatever it is, you know. So we don't know if like there's sort of no turning back in the sense of all the cataclysmic things that happen in the COVID worst case scenario will happen. They just essentially the wheel is turning slowly, but it's already, you know, there's no way to stop the wheel from getting to that point. And so, you know, that's what I'm a bit concerned about, because until Biden gets in, they're not doing jack shit about it.
Yeah. Well, it's the same issue I have with climate change.
True.
Where it's like, oh, well, yeah, this entire presidency has detracted from humanity's response to climate change, the biggest and most concerning of all of the disasters facing us. And we've just squandered 4 years, and been set back a bunch more years because of this bumbling climate change denier.
Klucar01 has a hashtag Harley's Hitler moment. I really feel like that should be. I've got to remember to say that next episode when you talk about Hitler. It will be. It's almost like a new section when you reference.
Well, it should
Harley's
be. It should
Hitler
be
moment.
Harley. Well, it should be Harley Shitler moment.
It does read like that.
It's hashtag Harley Shitler moment.
Either way, it's great. It's brilliant. I love it.
Hashtag Harley Shitler moment.
That's how it reads, certainly.
Yeah, Shitler moment is fine. Shitler moment is
Harley's
good.
Hitler moment, because you're talking about Hitler again, and like every time.
No, but I'm talking shitly about Hitler, or I'm talking shit. Something like that.
So goodbye, Donald. We wish you well, my friend. Or we don't, actually. We wish you jail.
Yeah. We wish you jail, yep.
We really wish you jail.
Now, I've got a bit more listener feedback here from Jason P. Diddy Combs, who resides over in Savannah. And he says, this is a listener question. I'm not sure if I've written to this to you guys before, But in the last episode, episode 188 of the Guy and Harley podcast, and several previous ones, you have mentioned rightly how the two of you seemingly anticipate new trends. I can't think of all the examples, but YouTube content, web series, etc. So what are you doing right now that might be a wave of the future? Could it be the way you were able to double dip with Emmy the Vegan, releasing it as both a series and a short film? That seemed to be to happen largely by accident, but what if you designed a project that way? But more generally, what are you doing right now that in 5 years you might kick yourself for not doing better and exploiting better now?
That's a very interesting question.
Yep. So I guess regarding the trends that we were sort of predicting and double dipping with Emmy the Vegan, that was actually a slow progression from what happened with Harrow.
Yeah.
So Harrow turned into the short film Asylum, and then Emmy the Vegan. Well, actually, no, it was just for the supercut. It really was largely an accident. Really, it was just an accident. It was just supposed to play on the
biggest accident being that we
big
made
screen
a web series that was very long when we maybe originally set out to make a web series that was a bit shorter.
Well, that's the old classic Pigville, though, isn't it?
Is.
All of these things turn into something way bigger. They always turn into something bigger.
Yeah. Well, what's your answer?
I think that the revolution will be
revolution won't be televised.
Live streamed. It'll be live streamed. I think the revolution will be live streamed. I think that that we got to stream more, but also put out more short form content that's consumable, which is really not like anything new. But I don't see anything changing. We're not going to stop enjoying short form video content anytime in the future. It's always going to be required. It's always going to be a type of media that people want. So we need to keep people fresh and entertained. So I would like to see us creating more short form content and live streaming more often and more stuff, so that in 5 years we're kind of riding that wave, because you got to get on, and it might take 5 years to build an audience, or longer. So the sooner you get onto it, the better.
The revolution won't be televised. It will be streamed.
Yep, that's what we said. That's a quote. That's the nugget of knowledge from the Guy and Harley podcast.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's that, and then but there is something to be said for this idea of designing projects to be consumed in multiple formats. So you go, it's a web series, but we'll cut it as a feature film, and we'll do a little short film version and submit it to some short film festivals, and whatever. Now, I think that's quite a good idea. It's a great way to maximize your options, because you put it out, you sell it as a feature film and you make money, or if nobody wants it, maybe it works better as a web series, or maybe just the short film goes and does a whole bunch of great short film festival stuff and then ends up promoting the web series or the short film or the feature film. It's quite a good idea just to get that extra post-production done, because you've already created the content. You've done that part.
Yeah, I kind of think the opposite. Well, for starters, I will say that one problem, Jason, is that we were young when we came up with those ideas. And when you're young, you have your finger on the pulse of new things.
Which ideas? I mean, the vegan.
Sort of creating, sort of getting onto YouTube before everyone got onto YouTube. And also kind of web series. Like, we were legitimately one of the first people to make a web series in New Zealand, like an actual kind of a scripted web series, and then a few years later everyone jumped on that bandwagon. But yes, like when you're young, you definitely have a better understanding of what is sort of new and hip, and when you're old you don't know that as well. Because you no longer are relevant, and so that is a bit of a problem. But for me, I'm kind of interested in creating an industry around the films and projects that we make. So Older is not just a film. It's a documentary about the film, and it's a tutorial and masterclass about how to make a film like Older, and how those things can all support each other in kind of a circular way, where, you know, you go, cool, I like that film, I'd like to learn about how I could make a film like that. Or you go, cool, I like that documentary, I'd like to watch that film. Or you go, cool, I really like that tutorial, so maybe I'll watch that film that he talked about and use references throughout. So I think that there is, and this is not just going to be relevant to us, but actually a lot of indie filmmakers are going to have to take that sort of approach to their work, where the monetization of it is over multiple different platforms, not necessarily just you pay for the movie, it's you pay for the experience and the sort of the whole thing, the whole package of all these different ways that it can provide something to you. And so that's what I think we should be doing. But I also think that independent filmmakers, if you're thinking about continuing along that independent path, should actually kind of, you know, and this is the same in sense, we should create more content, but you should be trying to have sort of 10 feature films all up on your streaming platforms. And, you know, by the end of next year, we'll certainly have 3, but maybe we could have 4, and that's quite a good inroad. And then if Zombie comes back to us, Zombie Holocaust, then that's 5, and that's the following year.
Wait, what are the 5?
So,
what are the 5?
Immy the Vegan, Older, Glimpses, Zombie Holocaust, and potentially The Project. So you have so actually, like, if anything, I pitch The Project to be longer, because I actually think that what we're going to find is where we make the money with Immy is, you know, we thought that the web series, like it as a web series, would be great, and we think it is great as a web series, but actually where you can sell it and market it as a product is actually as that sort of longer format thing on these streaming platforms, which don't have any interest in web series at the moment. Now, hopefully, you know, there are more platforms like Quibi. You know what I'm talking about, right, Harley? Quibi.
Nah.
This
I'm old. I don't know. I'm not
This
relevant.
is the problem.
I told you I'm not relevant. You told me. You just said I'm not relevant.
Yeah, so
you
this
just
is
said
exactly what I'm talking about. But Quibi was.
Hey, I know about Little Zan.
Let's not forget Lil Peep and fucking who was that guy that died of the overdose?
Listen, I haven't been the same since Lil Peep died. Okay, and he died of a drug overdose too, but you're referring to Juice
I'm
WRLD.
referring to Juice WRLD.
To Juice WRLD, yeah. Rest his soul too. I'm gonna pour one out for these homies.
So Quibi was essentially trying to be the short form Netflix. So they invested hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was run by ex Disney CEO and some other, and this sort of team. They were like, cool, we're not gonna pitch you Netflix. You've got Netflix. So what we're gonna do is pitch you this type of phone content that you can digest 5-10 minutes at a time. These essentially web series, but with the production value of all this stuff. That you can have as you go about your work, as you go day to day, and it's, you know, on the bus to thing or whatever, and so but the whole idea was that it was short, you know, and they basically never, like, they spent like they had all the stars make content for them. They have all the scripted
nobody
content.
cared.
Absolutely no one gave a shit. They didn't get enough subscribers. They had to fold the whole thing. The whole thing is folded in dust. And now there's all this great content, which I guess will be picked up by people like Netflix and stuff like that. But essentially the whole experiment didn't work. But the idea was at least interesting. But you really have to question now, do people care? You know, because, you know, it used to be we're consuming short form content because it was quick and easy and we couldn't consume long form content. But with the way that, like, sort of Netflix works now, you can press pause on your thing and it will be there for you whenever you want to come back to it. You know, like it's not like you have to go back and scrub back and whatever. It's like literally right there, just click through it. I was watching, you know, I watched 20 minutes of that doco as I was eating my cereal, that doco on Hitler. I had 20 minutes while I was eating my cereal, and now I'm going to take another 20 minutes.
You're talking about me now, last week. You're talking about me now.
And now I'm going to do another 20 minutes in the evening.
That's literally how I watch it. I've got a tab open with a 2-hour war documentary that I'm 59 minutes of the way through.
So the idea that maybe everything has to be short form, like, yes, I guess attention spans are getting shorter, but maybe we've also been taught to digest things the Netflix binge way, is where we're actually consuming like heaps of long form content all at once. You know, is it really that case for this type of narrative stuff? So I think that, you know, maybe we need to build up that, you know, got those 10 films in rotation, and we're looking to do.
Well, absolutely.
But I do agree that, like, for instance, you know, and as much as I, you know, recoil at the concept, that, you know, you have to make things low budget and accept they're going to be low budget looking, and accept the budget of them to get them out quicker sometimes.
Just smash them out.
Smash them out and go, look, hey, it wasn't, it's low budget. We accept that. You know that coming in. We're not trying to trick you. But it's still, you can still appreciate it for that. So those are that's where I'm thinking.
Also, you know, as we keep doing it, we'll get better at making it look better. You know, better at being quicker and making it look better. But you know, for cheaper.
Yeah, sort of like an industry around each project, and that going off into teaching how to make that, and sort of taking you behind the curtain on that. Is what I see.
But there's a healthy middle ground here, because obviously, you know, all of that is supported by having a sufficient amount of subscribers that follow your social media content. You know, so that's short form regular content that's got to support these long form things.
Well, I guess
you know,
when I think about that short form content, in part that is that it would be short form sort of tutorials and things which you can do.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It's still short form content.
Short form content, you know, which you can do sort of the easiest of all these things in terms of like the output of effort to have them exist. So you certainly need that side of it to support anything like bigger that you do. Yeah. So there you go, Jason.
So there you go.
Without a touch, we don't know.
In other news, I produced a short film, as I mentioned on the show, a short film about child sexual abuse. That we mentioned it was probably, we shot it 1 year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago. It's called Unforgettable. Back then it was, I don't know if I said the name or not, but it was called Jack and John back then. Now it's called Unforgettable.
Better name, I think.
Yeah, maybe. It's kind of forgettable, if you ask me.
It's a little forgettable.
But the film is out. It has come out. I've shared it on my Facebook page, Harley Neville, and I might have shared it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. But anyway, it's called Unforgettable, and you can find it on YouTube if you search for Unforgettable Walter Ching. You'll find it. He's the director, the writer-director. It's out there, Unforgettable. And so that I rewatched it recently after it came out, because I had seen rough cuts of it. And then I saw the final polished cut of it. And I thought it was pretty good in terms of like production values and, you know, the people involved, the cast, the crew, the everything. It was a very successful production from my perspective of it being, on budget and on schedule, and everyone was professional, and there was no disasters, and everything went smoothly. And at the end of it, we had something that was finished to a high standard and shot nicely and sounded nice. So yeah, apart from the child, abuse thing, which is the only thing that really, for me, I was like, crap, do I really want to make this, story about child abuse? It's a story about a man confronting his father in later life about child abuse he suffered when he was young, so it's sort of a story about how the long-term effects of it and how it can affect a person. And then it follows a person who confronts his father about it later in life. But just for me, it's like obviously not exactly the type of story that I'm like thrilled to tell. I'm like, well, whatever. Like, I don't mind telling that story, but wouldn't go out of my way to do it. But that's exactly what I did. I went way out of my way and I did it. Way out of the way. It took ages. We did, not ages, but there was a lot of work, obviously, that went into organizing all of those people and places and things. I didn't do it alone. I did it with Walter, but there's still a bunch of work that had to be done. And now it's coming out a year later. But it's out there. I will put it on IMDb as well.
Yeah. Well,
so that's good.
I haven't seen the new graded cut, so I look forward to
you should watch it
out.
Because it's got and it's not just I think he's tweaked it a little as well, the edit, and it's got a new intro and a few other things. So it's looking quite different to the original cut, and it's a lot shorter. It's I think originally it was like 12 minutes or something, and now it's like 8.5.
Oh, okay.
So he trimmed off 3.5 or so minutes off it. Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, cool. Sorry, I thought there was a wee glitch in the live stream, but anyway, so that's out. So that's good. That was all worth it. I took a token payment for that one, so it was a very low budget film. The budget, I don't know if I'm really allowed to tell them the budget. I guess it won't really matter. It was like about $4,000 was what it was meant to be, and then it ballooned out to $6,000 with the post production.
I thought you kept it on budget.
Well, we did. There was not an original budget. There was more like, that's how much he had. And I was like, well, $4,000, we can definitely get this thing shot, but we're probably going to need some more money for post-production. We're probably going to need some more money. So he was warned well in advance that the 4,000 would probably not suffice to do it if you want to finish it to the highest possible standard using the professionals. If that's what your plan is, you probably won't be able to do it for $4,000 and get it shot. But, so it turned into $6,000 eventually. But, everything turns into more. Every single production we do turns into more eventually.
Sure does.
Once you factor in the pickups, the color grade, the sound mix, and all the rest of it, the visual effects.
Well, you're always looking at a $2,000 of post-production for anything. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to finish it to, a professional standard. If you want to take a shortcut there, okay, maybe you can get away with doing it for less, for sure. But if you're really going to finish something to a professional standard and get pros to do what they do to make your thing the best it can be, say goodbye to 2K. Generally speaking. Especially in this day and age.
2K is nothing.
2K is not, and that's the thing, is like when we say $2,000,
we mean that's people working for favors.
That's like
big
that's
favors.
like then owing them a life debt after that, where you are now bound to them for life for them doing you that favor. So. And well done to Walter for pulling it all together and getting it all done and getting across the line and putting in the hard, grueling yards that only the creative writer-director can do. The big mistake he has made is that he hasn't spent an additional, and I don't know, it's going to sound silly, but an additional $1,000 to $2,000 on festival submissions. Because that is where shorts go.
Yeah, I think he only submitted to one festival. Which was the festival that I work for, and he was not accepted into it, or it was not accepted into it. But there was literally hundreds of applicants. I think it was like a couple of thousand applicants, but they can only actually accept about 70 odd films or something like that. So yeah, it's a tough competition to get into the best film festivals. But yes, he probably should have put some more money into it and sent it out to the festivals. But that's the problem, right? You go, okay, I'm going to save up and I'm going to make a movie, and you go, cool. Well, how long is a piece of string? Because that's how much you need to save. Because there's always going to be something else that you're going to have to pay for if you want to keep giving it legs and doing things with it.
Well, you got to invest. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, I guess you do have to decide when do you go, okay, that's enough. Like that I'm
going to cut this off now.
That's enough. And that's, and that is, again, talking about those conversations about short form, long form, is like the long form is such a sellable thing, but the short film, people just do not, and hopefully that changes, but just people don't give a fucking flying shit. It's just like, oh, you got a web series, did you? Cool. Oh, well, we don't give a fuck. You'd made a short film, did you? Oh, how did it do at the festivals? Cool. And don't get me wrong, obviously, good festival selections can get you noticed and on the radar and lead to other things. There's no doubt about that. But you're not gonna unless you get that direct correlation, which I think is probably pretty rare. That if you think about all the short films that get made, we're like everything, we're looking at those super successful ones that they did that. It led to, working with a producer, which led to their feature film. And we all go, so that's what happens when you make a short film. But actually, what really happens is you spend $6,000 and you have a short film. And that's normally the end, for probably, more than 9 out of 10 people. So you have to be very lucky. Whereas if, you do have a piece of long-form content, if that's where you're at the end, then hopefully you're also at the point where you can now get it onto these, places which are constantly demanding, long-form content, which there are more and more streaming sites, and there are just none of them are dedicated to short things. So it is all very interesting to see how that's been going.
But you've also got to remember, obviously, that the short form content is not necessarily like if it's YouTube, for example, if you're trying to make money on YouTube and merchandising and get your followers up and so on as well. That's also that's another way to monetize that is less effective with long form content because it's got such a slow turnaround. Long form content's got a slow turnaround. But if you're doing short skits, weekly, a 2-minute skit weekly or whatever on YouTube, that's a new piece of content every week that can earn you ad revenue for the rest of your life. So that's kind of there's just different competing models for, monetizing it. So you wouldn't be monetizing long things in the same way you'd be monetizing short things and vice versa necessarily, though there'd be some crossover.
Yes, I did actually see quite an interesting YouTube channel, which I think is called the $5 Film School, where they sort of primarily, I'm not sure, but I think they may fundamentally operate entirely on YouTube. And what they do is they sort of release, short form content about their. I'm just trying to look it up now. They about making their films. But they've also released their first feature film was just released on YouTube. Like that's it. It's just went straight to their YouTube channel, and their next one is going straight to their YouTube channel, and their channel is monetized. And they have sort of, I don't know if it's on any other streaming platforms as well. It may well be, but I thought it was also pretty interesting to see that they're that's all they're thinking about is this kind of this YouTube hub, and that's where everything's going to. Actually, here we go. It's called 922 Films, the $5/$5 Film School. So
it's a hell of a fucking name, isn't it? 922 Films / the $5 Film
School. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Fuck yeah!
It's a bit of a mouthful.
These guys are doing all right on YouTube, are they?
They've got 4,000 subscribers. Okay. And
It's a little
and
channel.
they've got, I think they average about a thousand per, between 1,000 and about 1,000. But for instance, their feature film has 36,000 views, which is not bad. If you're
certainly not a lot of money. That if assuming they're monetized, 36,000 is not a huge amount of money.
But they're
could be about $36 maybe.
$36,
maybe. Something. It's all adds up.
And if the next one, makes more,
Yeah. Well, so obviously in their case, being such a small channel, they would be better off to do a traditional sales agent and get that film out, and sell it. They could have done it that way, but if they're bigger, if they had a bunch of followers, if they had millions of followers and they knew their film was going to get millions of views, maybe it'd be profitable to release it directly to YouTube like that.
I'm just trying to see how old they are, because they can't be, that old, I'm sure. Oh, they're 3 years old. 3 years old. That's,
This is very talented 3-year-olds.
They're 3-year little old babies, and they just released their first film. But look, that's where we're going. All right.
And this is what we're looking for.
People are pretty good at editing these days.
They are.
The kids are pretty good at editing. Cool. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I agree. I'm busting for a pee, actually.
I'm very hungry.
You're hungry? I'm quite hungry. I haven't had my dinner yet either. Yeah. So it is dinner time here at the Guy and Harley podcast. So, thank you very much for listening. And Facebook.com/Guy and Harley and Patreon.com/Pigville. If you'd like to give us $1 a month to keep creating content, we would love that. Olderfilm.com. That's the most important place you can go right now. Olderfilm.com and hit buy now. And there's an option there for you to watch older legally, probably, depending on what part of the world you're in. But if you're in an English-speaking territory, you can watch it there. Olderfilm.com, hit buy now. Yeah. What else you got, Guy?
Oh, well, I'd just say that for anyone that tuned in a little bit early and got to see a preview of the Guy and Harley podcast where I was picking my nose.
I watched that.
I'll say, look, I was just digging for gold, okay? Just digging for gold.
To flick on the show.
I was just doing a little test. It was a test. I meant to do that, okay?
Yeah.
That was a joke, all right? It was a joke.
It was a scene from the project.
I was trying to be funny, all right? I didn't just accidentally start streaming and pick my nose, that's for sure. All right? Everything is intentional. And that was 100% intentional. Could not be more intentional. That's the one that you need to rename. Man caught picking his nose.
Right. I actually deleted it. I deleted it from both channels. Too late. But I should have. Yeah. You're right. It should have been. Man
live streams nose pick. Brilliant.
I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, please don't eat it. Please don't eat it.
That would have been the ultimate. That would have been the ultimate.
It would have been, it would have been. Yeah, we would have gone viral finally.
But I don't eat my boogers. All right.
Oh, la di da! Oh, I don't eat my boogers. Oh, I don't spot boogers. The guy who didn't grow up poor. All right.
I'm comfortable now. I don't need to eat my own boogers.
Man, you've gotten really. You've changed since you got rich,
I'm privileged. I don't need to eat boogers.
So elite now. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. I'm going to go pee. Good night.